Chris McFeely, and Nicole. Welcome, everybody.
Hello.
Hello. So, it is Fanboy Versus basketball. There's a very good possibility that you will hear my wife screaming from the other room, since as we are recording this, the Kentucky-North Carolina game is going to be going on. So for those of us in the States, that's basketball stuff. For those of you overseas, probably don't care. But
Tar Heels are going down.
Yes, Tar Heels are going down, much like Duke did yesterday. So, Triplet is a little bit of a Duke fan, so I'll probably be riding him pretty hard, since apparently Kentucky fans can never forgive Chris Leitner. So, anyway, there's enough pointless basketball history for people that don't care about basketball, but this is a show about comic books, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So, we'll open up with a bit of news, and I always love to go to Chris McFeely for that. So what do you have news-wise, sir?
News-wise, it's always nice to have real comic news, so let's start out with it. What? Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Begin with, start it. Right. Announcement made on Saturday at MegaCon by Jeff Johns was that, following the end of Brightest Day, he will be doing an Aquaman comic.
Oh my God!
Another one coming later this year is the height of the information we have on it. That is literally it. You know, we don't even know if it's an ongoing or a mini or whatever. But I mean, check it out. Yeah,
Do people really get excited for Aquaman still?
No, they don't.
No.
I think you get excited for what Jeff Johns is doing.
No, there are Aquaman fans who will get excited, but. You know, I mean, when did he last have an ongoing series? 4 years ago? Yeah, that's when it last ended.
And how did that do?
That Kurt Busiek series, I actually bought into that and didn't like it and dropped it.
Well, it's Aquaman. Yeah. I don't know, it's like Martian Manhunter or Namor or Doctor Strange or the Silver Surfer. These figureheads have been around for an awfully long time, but who no company really seems to know what to do with. Of course, I know I've mentioned the Submariner there, and Marvel are currently giving him his own ongoing series for some reason that I predict will be at its end before it reaches issue 12. But, well, we'll see what these thinks, how do they think about dealing with Aquaman. If they're putting Jones on it, you know, maybe they'll just try on going out at the gate. And I'll get it. But, frankly, I can't see myself hanging around after Jones leaves, because it's more for the writer than character I'll be jumping onto that.
And I agree with Barricade in the chat. I would love to see Aquaman, like Brave and the Bold Aquaman, because he's awesome.
Oh, great!
Yeah.
He's fantastic.
Yes.
Well, that's all we know about that. So what else did we get this week? Just announced today, I believe, Amy Adams has been cast as Lois Lane in the new Superman movie. She was that was my reaction. So
Amy Adams? If you're a girl, you know who Amy Adams is. She's
the Fighter.
Well, she was for Best Supporting Actress for Fighter. She was in, oh my gosh, she's in a lot of chick flicks. So.
Yeah, she was in Enchanted.
Yeah, she was in Enchanted. Yeah. I mean, I think my thing about it is, I mean, and obviously this is all we know, is that she's been cast as Lois Lane. So, I mean, it's going to come down to, again, the script and what happens with it.
It doesn't always come down to the script. Kate Bosworth was a shit choice either way, you know?
Yeah. But, I mean, it's still part of it, though, at least. It comes down to the script and the way it's going to be directed and played. My concern is that every, review I've heard from people I trust about Sucker Punch is that it's horrible.
Oh, well, yeah. But, I mean, that's not the same. It's not the same film. You know, he's directed good films.
Yeah, I guess so.
But the thing is that his good movies are based on something that's pre-existing, and he already had the story laid out for him. Isn't he writing his own story for the Superman movie?
I honestly don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. So, I don't know. And it's Superman anyway, so I don't really care. But, so we'll see. I guess my thing is that doesn't positively or negatively impact me either way. I think she can pull off Lois Lane, depending on what version of Lois Lane we're getting.
Lois Lane seems to be perpetually hard to cast.
Yeah.
Hope we get Super Lois. Hope we just get all the Superman. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Don't see that one out.
If they could make Superman cool, that would be really great. I don't see that happening, but anyway. Yeah, so what else?
What the heck else did happen? Captain America trailer. We got the full Captain America trailer this week.
He threw the shield.
That was awesome.
It's so great.
Chris Evans needs to eat a sandwich or something. He didn't like.
Yeah.
It is so creepy and good. Like,
yeah, it was really the CGI tech and stuff that they used to make him look really small and scrawny was just great.
It looks cool. I think this trailer makes me more excited for it. It looks really good, I think.
Yeah. So.
And I found out that Bucky is going to be in it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we saw him in a few clips in there.
Something, I think.
Saw like an image of him, I think, like a photo or something.
Yeah.
But that was just a dude. There was no costume.
It's Portman's fiance. He in Black Swan with her.
Does anybody else have trouble processing how Tony Stark's father was alive and an adult man working at science during World War II?
Yeah, let's see. Matt. Well, maybe he was really young. Maybe he was in his 20s or something at that point.
Hang on. Robert Downey Jr. is like in his mid-40s. So you count backwards, 2000.
You're thinking too much.
Well, Tony's supposed to be in his 30s. Or his early 30s.
But if we be generous and assume that he's the same age as the actor portraying him for the purposes of figuring this out, is N minus 30, 65.
It's not going to work.
No. No, it's not true, but that would mean he was born in 65-ish.
Right, and considering that he's probably about 7 in the video from the mid-60s-ish.
I think that video was from the 60s. I think it was from the 70s.
Really?
I don't remember.
You know what? It's comic book.
His dad was if you assume his dad was in his 20s in the war and then had a kid late in his 40s, I guess it works.
You know, it's the comic book movie crossover thing. I mean, come on, Batman's parents were perpetually killed in the 30s. Doesn't matter what film or time period you're in, it's always the 40s, early 30s.
One of the great problems of having so much of your universe hinge on what happened in World War II. Everybody has retarded aging now.
Yeah, I mean, and the Marvel Universe is not going to be able to escape that. I mean, as far as, especially this Avengers stuff. The only thing that when tying it together, like, they could have left the Stark thing out, and that would have been fine. Like, that wouldn't have hurt anything. They could have just left that piece out and had it be, at that time and had it go. But no, they had to tie Stark into it, and you're right, now they've nailed it down. Because they have that break where, Steve is frozen in the Arctic. I assume they're going to go with that.
That always works. That's persistent. It's like Magneto is probably at the point now where he couldn't have been a child in World War II.
No, there's no way.
Well, no, because there was. I mean, Magneto was turned back into a baby in the early 70s, and then turned back into an adult man at his prime in the mid 70s.
Yeah, but he still remembers World War II.
That's still. But yeah, he knows. But that still means that when he was, so you've got a decade of push room there, one way or the other. But
oh, we got to save this shit. We're talking about Baby Magneto. We're getting into big geek stuff here. We might want to move on.
This trailer was pretty awesome.
Yeah, trailer was good though. I'm excited about the movie.
I don't know no matter what, but the trailer made me excited about it. So
yeah,
still not more excited than Thor, but
no, Thor, Captain X-Men's in there somewhere.
I saw there's a new trailer of X-Men First Class that came out. I don't know if you guys saw it or not.
There's like a German trailer that's got more footage. I saw that.
Yeah, the German one.
I went to the movie theater this week, and they had, I thought it was a new trailer. It looked really good on the big screen. Because that's one I wasn't excited for. Then I saw the trailer on the big screen, and it looked pretty good. So.
That was the general reaction. It was like, wait a minute, this actually looks halfway decent. What happened there?
Awesome.
All right. Anything else? Any other exciting news?
That was probably about the height of. Did you guys see I think one of the most interesting stories that came out this week wasn't really news, but did you guys see this thing about Rob Granito this week?
What? No, but that made me think of something else. But go ahead.
It was reported on BleedingCool.com. It's an artist. I'm going to throw some air quotes around that artist who has for years been selling his air quotes work at conventions and really making some serious money off of doing it. And the inescapable Rich Johnson cottoned onto the story this week. So that means the dude is fucked because Rich Johnson. It turns out basically he's been tracing everything he's ever done and just stealing images outright without credit to the original authors. And his DeviantArt page has been flooded with abuse. There's an anti-Rob Granito Facebook page that's been officially liked by Marvel, DC, Image, Dark Horse, DeviantArt, Bleeding Cool, and more.
Wow.
Yeah, that. Perhaps a little lowbrow for the show to cover, but there is a delicious taste of Schadenfreude whenever bastards like that get what's coming up to them.
I will mention one more thing, which is comic related, but and you may have interest in this, McFeely. So apparently, on an episode of 30 Rock this past week, they deep fried an issue of Avengers Academy.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
So I guess the story goes, and it looked like it was totally like Marvel was in on it, but apparently one of the storylines was one of the characters. He's has this love interest, and he goes to throw away his toys and collections, and he goes to her work, which is at some sort of food place or something, and he starts throwing his toys and stuff into the deep fryer, and one of the things is issue 8 of Avengers Academy. And that was it, yeah. Well, and that's the thing. The great thing was, the day after that came out, Joe Quesada and Tom Brevoort come out with this video response to the comic being deep fried. And it's great because Tom's, standing behind Joe, his arms crossed with a scowl on his face, and Joe's just going on and on about it. It's hilarious. But if you haven't seen the video, you can go to Marvel.com. They've got the video response up, and there's even a link there to see the clip from 30 Rock. But it's
I'll have to check that out.
It's pretty funny. I don't want to spoil what happens.
I bet that issue is delicious.
I thought when you were saying 30 Rock, you were going to mention that. I thought you were going to talk about the Transformers reference that they did on there this week.
No, but I didn't hear about that. I don't watch that show. I don't know anything about it.
Well, apparently this one is one of the characters goes to a movie theater, and there's a poster up for Transformers 5: Planet of the Earth, written by no one.
That's probably that. I can see that happening. That's possible. So anyway, but yeah, check that out. There's some good stuff. It's very funny actually for Joe and Tom. But anyway, all right. Enough of the news, crazy stuff. There's a basketball game coming on. We got to get to that. So I'm totally kidding. We're focused on comics here. Okay.
What's the score?
Comic books. Comic book podcast.
Triplet, save us. What did you read this week?
I have read Thor number 620.1. Ooh. And Ultimate Spider-Man number 156. Ooh. Look at that.
Oh, very nice.
Yep. So, I'll talk Thor first.
I think a month on, this is a good time to revisit Marvel's Point 1 thing, because we haven't talked about it at all since that first Spider-Man issue.
Yeah, because I haven't really been buying a lot of them. I got this one, and I've got the Cap Point 1, but I haven't read it yet. I'm really behind in Cap, so I don't know if it's going to mess me up if I read it or not now, but
well, based on this.
You're not supposed to be messed up, though. These are jumping on points, so yeah. There you go.
There's jumping on points, and there's for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
So now wait a minute though. Do we want to revisit this in the sense of saying, and or what we're saying that the original concept of the Point 1 is that this is supposed to be a jumping on point, and I think someone on this cast, me, said that this was going to be Marvel's excuse just to get you to buy another comic. Which one is closer to being right?
I think you're right, JD.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
There are some that are not like that. There are some that are genuine in-between issues. I know there's one coming up for Secret Avengers when the creative teams swap over. I'm sure Avengers Academy will do it right. Deadpool's is set chronologically correctly. There have been, I don't know about the Cap one. And most of them I don't really know about, but some of them are just, they are absolutely supposed to read as introductory comics where you can get a good feel for a character on the ground level, but the issues that they fall in between are... Well, Thor is the ultimate prime example of this. This is one issue before the end of Matt Fraction's first story arc. You know? This is not issue 620.1. This is not where this goes.
This is like 615.1 or something, isn't it?
It's like before the current story arc.
Yeah.
And Wolverine was very bad for that as well. Spider-Man, Spider-Man, well, we all agreed Spider-Man was a good comic, but not a particularly good jumping-on point for Spider-Man. But at least it actually happened in the proper order.
Yeah, I mean, it was like
it happened when it was supposed,
and everything.
Yeah. This is just, and it's kind of annoying to get hung up on it because it's really, really entertaining comic otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good issue. I liked it. I mean, I was kind of surprised because, one, you don't have the regular crew doing it, and I was kind of thinking that
is the ultimate crime. Like, even the Wolverine one has Jason Aaron writing it, as far as I understand. This is a fill-in comic. Like, this is not right. I think this may be the only one so far that has not been written by the regular crew, but it is like, why? You couldn't even wait 1 month and throw this out before Fear itself starts? Get it in between the end of a story and the start of one? When people are going to be paying attention to Thor because he's part of the major crossover that's coming? You couldn't just wait?
Because it's about buying more stuff.
Well, despite that hatred, it was a pretty good issue. I mean, I liked it.
That's the thing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what to say about it. It's basically, like you said, it takes place before the story arc. I mean, for one thing, Baldur is still alive. Baldur is still, like, king of the Asgardians and everything. And the point of the story is they're having, like, some sort of a celebration for Thor. Oh, gosh, what do they call it? What do they call it?
I'm sorry, it's a mid-sneeze. Hang on. It's Thor's The Feast of Thor.
The Feast of Thor, Odin's son, or something, yeah. And they basically celebrate Thor as a hero for the Asgardians and for Midgard, and they basically just eat and drink all night. And it's kind of awesome because, like, they're still, of course, out there in Oklahoma, so they've ordered tons and tons of booze. And there's, like, these pickup trucks that are, like, carrying it in, like, from the local town. And they're talking about how, even though it's snowing, we would drive through hell just to get this to them because they've ordered, like, 50 barrels of booze.
There isn't 50 barrels of booze in southwest Oklahoma.
So that's another problem.
It is with the kind of money the gods are throwing around.
No. All the locals have drank it. I miss home. Anyway. For those that might not remember, I grew up, like, literally, like, right next to Broxton, so.
And you said, like, Broxton was like, completely empty, is that what you said?
Yes, there's nothing there. There is literally nothing there. It is an intersection. There is nothing in Broxton.
Awesome.
So. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, I was a little concerned that this issue was going to be just entirely double-page spreads of people talking about how great Thor was.
Yeah.
But it has a little twist comes along in the middle of it.
Yeah, like as the story's going, Thor hasn't shown up for his own celebration, and this Asgardians have said, well, Thor wouldn't want us to wait with all this beer and this food lying around, so we need to get started. And so they get started to celebrate, and this big rock dude shows up. He's like some sort of a I don't know.
Giant.
Rock giant, I guess. He's like another Asgardian creature, like a frost giant or something, and he's paying tribute to Thor. And he says, my people have crafted this statue of great likeness of Thor, and I bring it to you to honor him. And then Balder says, it is fine work indeed, rock giant. Your claim as a sculpture precedes you. Sit down and dine with us and celebrate. And so he's like, they continue to talk about how awesome Thor is, and this rock giant dude is like, I'm proud to be with you and you guys, and he's like, patting people on the back and everything. And it turns out the reason he's patting everybody on the back is he's turning them to stone. Oh my God!
Because.
And then Balder realizes this, and then the dude breaks apart, and on the inside is the Grey Gargoyle! Oh my God!
It's the Grey Gargoyle! I cheered!
Wow.
I don't remember the last time the Grey Gargoyle was in or did anything, except for being a crowd filler. Well, yeah, except maybe for being crowd filler in one of the Hood's gang shots in New Avengers or something. I don't remember the last time he did anything. I mean, he's typically a Thor baddie. And I see that is what adds the whole greater meaning to this one shot, actually. Well, one shot is swear, for me, is that some news that I didn't mention because I forgot about it because it's not really news. But we got the Little Fear Itself preview pages that are oh god, I can't talk this week. That are in all the Marvel comics. That are in all the Marvel comics this week. Last week we saw some Stuart and art of Thor fighting Odin, and this week we got a couple of pictures of some of the worthy, who are the guys that are going to wield the God of Fear's hammers. And looking at the illustrations, we know we can definitely tell one is Juggernaut, and one certainly appears to be the Hulk because he's big and green. And offhand, I can't really recognize the other one, but given that Juggernaut and Hulk were in 2 of the 5 ads that we saw as people fighting over the hammers, I think the other one is the Grey Gargoyle.
Awesome.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I think that this one is very specifically actually here to reintroduce us to the Grey Gargoyle in preparation for the career itself. So
and so do we get reintroduced. I mean, he's having trouble. Yeah, I mean, he takes out everybody, all the Asgardians, and he does it because he's basically he wants to be immortal. He's looking for a golden apple from the tree. What's the tree called again? The year.
Is it from the world? Is it from the Yggdrasil?
It's
What is it? Sorry.
But does it go to apples?
Oh no, the golden apples do not come from Yggdrasil. No, they're grown separately.
They come from the Idun's tree. But
yeah, there's a separate deal, a separate goddess that cultivates those.
A lot of magic trees in Norse myth.
Yeah. Trees are very important to Norse myth. Lots of trees, lots of snakes.
Obviously, if you haven't figured it out yet, that statue was Thor because he turned him to stone. And Grey Gargoyle's powers last for an hour, so Thor, you find out that he's been turning Thor to stone for several hours, just keeping him stone. And Grey Gargoyle goes and starts looking for this golden apple. Thor, as badass as he is, he breaks the spell. He talks about, what does he say? It says, storms weather rocks, given long enough, and just as surely, no matter how long it takes, my force of will shall always summon the might of Mjolnir, as badass as Thor is. Yeah. So they have a big fight, and talk a big deal about each other, and
there's also we get a wee flashback there to show us how Gargoyle trapped Thor. And he did it by disguising himself with a big rock-like shell to make himself look like Man-God. Fucking Man-God! You guys have done their Thor research.
That's awesome.
But the power of a billion being.
And he was just inside of the shell, and then he turned Thor to stone is how he did it. So yeah, awesome. But yeah, like I said, they just have a big fight, and Thor realizes that Grey Gargoyle, I guess he's not going to be able to beat him or something, so he grabs the golden apple and he lets the Grey Gargoyle touch him and turn him to stone, but Thor has such a grip on the apple that, as a stone statue, Grey Gargoyle can't get it from him, and the guards that are still awake and not turned to stone come for the Grey Gargoyle, so he has to run. And then, like, the statue, Thor's, like, smiling, and, like, all the other Asgardians, they wake up before him, and, Baldur's, like, talking about him, and he says, Sif says, I fancy Lord Baldur, then in a few moments, time when the spell finally releases him, Thor will be happy to sit by the hall fires, raise a cup, and tell us of his struggles while we were set as stone. And the story basically just ends with Thor as a statue smiling. So it's like a one-off issue, it's fun. I don't know if it's... Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it hits all the great notes of Thor, I mean, it doesn't go full-on high myth. It brings in, a classic Thor supervillain I'm so happy to see again. I think there is ulterior motive behind it. But, but the fact that he is a mythological figure is absolutely a key point of the story, because you've got the golden apples in there, and you get pure badassery, control of the storm, hammer-throwing action, but ultimately he outsmarts him, and that's not something you catch Thor doing an awful lot these days. Normally he just hits something until it falls down, but he actually wins through smarts in this little story. And it's got very nice art as well. This is by Mark Brooks, who did the backup strip in the Death issue of Fantastic Four, and I was saying really nice things about him then. I didn't used to enjoy his work whenever I was first exposed to it, but he just seems to get better with every story I see him do. So, It's written by Abnett and Lanning, by the way. We said it's not done by Matt Fraction, by the regular creative team. It's written by Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning. They also Nova, Guardians of the Galaxy, Annihilation, Transformers, Infestation.
I thought my best part was that Thor was stoned.
Okay.
Anyway.
We need to get a rim shot. Kilby, you need to do a rim shot.
Yeah, what's the soundboard?
I'm producing. I have no rim shot.
Wait, would that be winning?
Yes, it would be winning.
I imagine more of a sad trombone.
Yeah, probably so. Anyway, so yeah. Awesome. So point one is basically just more stuff to buy. Awesome. But good stuff to buy, right? I mean, that's what we're saying.
Yeah. So Fear Itself, when does that come out? Is that next month?
Fear Itself is next. It's not even next month. It is the week after next.
Okay.
Wow. So we're...
Gotta make sure I get that.
But isn't that still next month?
Theoretically. I mean, if you want to be technical, it is into another month, but it's not a month away, It's not like it's 30 days.
So I was correct. Winning for me.
Yes. Technically. So, alright.
Okay, next is Ultimate Spider-Man, and you know what's awesome about this issue?
He's gonna die?
Mark Bagley is back!
Oh, well.
Oh, yeah!
Oh,
yeah!
It's funny though. I opened this and I forgot Mark Bagley was back because something's different.
Yeah, his art's got it's different. Something's.
I don't know what it is. I think it's in the profiles. The profile characters don't look quite like they used to.
Well, the characters changed since he did the book too. Like
Well, yeah, no, but I just mean like in general.
Yeah.
It didn't. I don't know what it is exactly, because I'm looking at it. You tell me it's Mark Bagley, and I look at it and go, "Yeah, it is, yeah."
Yeah,
I had to my finger on something. There is something that I honestly can't pin down. I think it's something about the shape of heads, the shape of characters' profiles, and yeah.
There was something about it when I was reading it, and for some reason I was thinking Stuart Amonin was doing the issue. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is. It's just for some reason I was like, and then I looked at the cover and said, wait a minute, and then I looked at the inside of the issue and I said, hey, Mark Bagley's back. He's really going to die soon because he's supposed to come back when Spider-Man's dying.
Yeah, I mean, it's potentially even better than your standard Bagley stuff too. I don't know if it's just maybe the colorist.
I don't know.
Some very nice, rich coloring on this. Who's the colorist on this?
But I mean, this issue was decent. I mean, I thought it was all right. It's it seems like we're finally getting in the gear of getting, like, we've been getting issues that have said Death of Spider-Man on the cover for what, like 5 or 6 issues now?
3, to be honest.
Something. I can't even remember how far back they've gone, but it finally feels like now it's kicking in gear because, of course, Mark Bagley's on the book. But in this issue, Norman Osborn shows up again.
Yeah, it's funny, I just happened to leaf the issue in which he supposedly died a couple of days beforehand. I don't think we knew Osborn was going to be in this, but I was like, I happened to leaf the issue in which he died, in which it happens from a single bullet off panel, and I was like, yeah, he's really probably not dead. I bet he was going to come back for the death story. Oh, look!
Now, I don't even remember him dying. What did he die in? Was it in Ultimate Spidey, or did he...
It wasn't Ultimate Spidey. It was at the end of the story where Harry turned into the Hobgoblin.
Oh, okay.
And then Norman killed Harry in the fight on the helicarrier, and he turned back to his human form and just asked Carol Danvers to kill him.
Okay, I didn't remember that.
You just get a big, well, you wouldn't. It's just one panel. You get a big close-up of, not even a big close-up of Carol Danvers' face, and she's going, my pleasure, or request granted, or whatever, and you just hear the sound effect, and that's it. Like, that's as much of the send-off as he gets, and I'm like, yeah, he's not dead. I'd forgotten about it. I dug out the issue because I wanted to go, I was thinking to myself, is he dead? I had to check, I got it out to check, and I was like, yeah, he is, but he's still not.
Yeah. So, yeah, they make a mention of it, that he's not dead, and, S.H.I.E.L.D. got him, and, S.H.I.E.L.D.'s doing S.H.I.E.L.D. things with him, trying to get his power secrets. You know what S.H.I.E.L.D. does. S.H.I.E.L.D.'s always up to something. And it turns out they think that Osborn's lost all of his powers, or maybe he doesn't have his powers anymore. Well, he does, of course. And big shock. He turns into a big green goblin monster thing, and he breaks out.
More monstrous than usual, I think.
Yeah. I mean, something's obviously big time changed about him because just the way he's talking. Because he mentions he says, you have no idea what is inside of me, no idea, or something is what he says at one point. So, I don't know, something's going on with him. So he turns into the Goblin, he goes and he breaks out I guess it's the Sinister Six in the Ultimate Universe. I assume that they're still called Sinister Six.
But I don't think they even were called, I don't think they weren't even real. The last time they appeared was the Ultimate, it was actually the Ultimate Six miniseries, which was like the 9th volume of Ultimate Spider-Man, so that was like 12 books ago, as far as graphic novels concerned, like a long time ago. And it was just Osborn busting out. Actually, it was just Electro, Kraven, Sandman, Ock, and Venom. Electro, Kraven, Sandman, Ock, and Osborn himself. There was no sixth. They were going to have Peter be their sixth. So the Vulture
that's right.
For this year, yeah.
But for here, he's got Vulture, so, there you go. Yeah. And so they break out, they get away. This kind of continues the theme with the Ultimates are teaching Spider-Man. So in this issue, it's Cap's turn to come in and teach him. Now, as you remember from a couple issues back, Cap was the one that didn't want Spidey to continue to be a hero. So Cap's kind of a jerk to Spider-Man and kind of saying, well, this is why I don't think you should do it, because you're a teenager and you don't realize that you could die and all this stuff. So it's kind of funny that we're getting this now in a comic called Death of Spider-Man.
Yeah. Well, this is purely what made those previous 3 issues preludes,
Yeah.
The fact that this theme was in them, apparently, to sell those issues, maybe, on the hopes of selling them a bit more.
So Cap has to cut his training with Spidey short because he gets the call about Osborn escaping. He's told, I guess it's Carol that tells him this, that lose Spider-Man, just lose him or something. So Cap drives off and tells Spidey that, hey, stuff's going down, and Spidey, of course, says, hey, can I help? Can I go with you? And he's like, no, or something. And Spidey says, well, you can't stop me from following you, can you? So he does his Spider-Man thing, and he web swings off, and we get a little bit more on the Osborn and the escapees. They've broken into somebody's house. I think it's significant who they've broken into.
Yeah, just some house.
just some house or something. And a bridge is on fire. How did the bridge get on fire?
I don't know what's going on there. Assuming this is something from the Avengers versus Ultimates miniseries, haven't read that, don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's been doing the death of... It's been having the death of Spider-Man logo, right? Yeah.
Well, I asked a customer who's reading it, and he said it's not been in it either. So, I don't know.
So, like, Spidey shows up at this bridge, the bridge is on fire, and he gets a call from MJ, and MJ is telling him that, have you seen the news? And he says, oh, I'm here, I see it. And she says, no, Norman Osborn escaped. They all did. And Spidey's like, Norman Osborn is dead. And she says, no, I'm telling you, him, Octopus, Electro, the Shane guy, they all escaped. They're going to come after you, Peter. They're going to kill you wherever you are. You have to go save Aunt May and Gwen. You have to save your family. To be continued. That's how it ends. So, there we go. We're in full swing now. Death of Spider-Man.
Yay.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
I see what you did there. Very nice.
See, we need that rib shot again.
Yeah.
You need it.
We're full of, this is just top quality humor.
Yep.
Here on Fanboy Versus.
Don't get this nowhere else.
No. Thankfully. Awesome. So,
it's a pretty good issue. I think ultimately the main thing to say about it is Bagley.
Bagley, yeah.
Hey.
It's pretty standard first chapter of something. It's all about where it's going to go. I mean, it's a pretty straightforward first chapter. There's not much to say about it, to be honest.
Cool. Nicole.
All right. Well, the first one I'm going to start off with is DC's Weird World. I don't know if you guys see that. Again, this is a comic that has 3 separate stories into one. It's great for people with low attention spans like myself. So, we first start off with the story of Lobo. You guys probably have heard of Lobo before, the bounty hunter, where we last left off with him. I can't talk either, McFeely. What did you do to me?
The curse.
He's got his bounty and he's taking it, he's got his man and he's going to go and collect his bounty. But I've got to tell everyone, the capital city where he's going to is Fubar. Gotta love that. So, Fubarians are escorting him to the city.
God.
They call them Fubarians. You gotta love it. This is my.
You must be mistaken. There's no way. No.
So, Fubarians escort him to be Chancellor so he could get his bounty. And while they're walking into the big capital, he sees this big glowing tube, and apparently this place is pretty much powered by these electric eels, and that you don't think that comes into play, but it does eventually. All of a sudden, he's trying to make his move because the Fubarian saying that he can't eat the Chancellor, but the other Fubarian says no, and he kills him. Come to find out, the one that is the surviving Fubarian is the Chancellor, so the guy that he's supposed to meet up with. Well, they're being all kind of lovey-dovey at first, but come to find out, he's going to screw Lobo over. Guess what? He doesn't like that, so big fight breaks out. Chancellor goes down, but Lobo and his little runaway needs to escape. So where do they escape to? Underneath the electric eels. So it come to find out, these are really short stories. They're only 10 pages apiece, so it goes really quick. Come to find out, him and his companion, his prisoner, now are going to become companions to fight this war. So that is pretty much the story of Lobo in this one. Like I said, it's got a bunch of little funny gigs in it, little gags in it. Come on, Fubarians. How you gonna laugh at it?
Classic Lobo.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I can't wait for to see where him and his companion go. And then our next story is Garbage Man. Now, if you guys have heard me, this is the one story I'm loving out of the 3 of them. kind of like the Thing, not the Thing, Swamp Thing. That's what I meant. Last we left off, the scientist that quote unquote created him is dead now, and the laboratory exploded. So he needs to find a new way to convert back to his old self. He is pretty much splattered everywhere from this explosion, and it's taken him a while to be pieced back together. And he's starting to lose his memory. He's pretty much has lost his memory, but little flashbacks are coming back. And the one person he remembers is his old secretary, and so he's going on a quest to find her in order to try to put the pieces back together. And so you go through all these different flashbacks that Garbage Man is having. He realizes he was married, but he doesn't know if it was good or anything. All he can remember is the secretary. So this is where Batman comes into play. I remember I was showing you guys. Batman was in the last one. Apparently he's on the outskirts of Gotham, and so he is trying to make his way inside of Gotham City, where he comes across a dead body totally mangled up. Basically, it's kind of a little bit graphic. You just see much a hand and a torso. And you hear these other two hunters out in the woods call for their friends. So he puts together, this is this guy's friend, but they're not going to like what they see when they run into him. Well, the two hunters cross Garbage Man over his body, and they're mistaking him as Bigfoot. So Garbage Man is considered the new Bigfoot. And so he knows he needs to run away, and so he comes across these train tracks, and he just waits there for the train. He's like, I don't care how long it takes, I'm going to catch this train into Gotham City. Well, he's been there for a while, and all of a sudden he hears these noises and stuff, and come across, and he looks around, and there's a big werewolf, and that's the end of that one.
Okay.
Werewolf against Garbage Man. So, this is why I like these stories. They're just quick. They're full of fun stuff. And then our next one is our heroine story, Tanga. Last we left her, she drank a little too much, and she woke up a few hours later, not knowing where she's at. I'm pretty sure a few people could relate to that.
Some people call that Friday.
Yeah. So she wakes up, and all of a sudden there's this huge creature and this battle going on, and people are trying to get her to get out of the way, and she's just like still in that daze and confused, like
who among us hasn't drunk too much and then woken up next to some kind of huge creature?
And then the locals are praying to their Zah, it's called Zah, to come and help them, but this creature is just taking over the place, and she's just sitting there watching like it's some kind of movie, like, oh, okay, this is great, So Zah finally does come, puts a few little, magic spells on this creature, but it doesn't work. He is conquered, and then all of a sudden, Tanga's like, oh, wait, I'm a superhero, I could probably take this on. And everyone's like, no, we know what you're like, you're not going to be able to do this. And she's like, oh, whatever. And so the last you see is her trying to take on this monster, still in her drunken stupor. So, again, it's just 3 really quick stories. They're full of details, and they're fun. Nothing to take seriously. And I just always look forward to it. So go check out that one. So, Fubarians, come on. The next one I'm going to do is the last of the Infestation series. It's the Ghostbusters one. This one, if you guys like the movies, you're going to like. If you like the Ghostbusters movies, you're going to like the Infestation Ghostbusters. Like I said,
that is pretty uncommon for IDW's Ghostbuster comics.
Yeah, I've never read any of their other Ghostbusters comics, so to me this was really fun because you have the main star, which is Mr. Stay Puft. Okay. Yeah, he has come back, and he is running amok around the city. And
is he a zombie marshmallow?
Well, that's where it comes into play. Okay, because I wasn't able to report on the first one, but they kind of made a good point in the first infestation. Ghosts are people, or poltergeists or ghosts are individuals that are searching for a body, and zombies are a body without a soul. So they basically, the Ghostbusters, what they did in the first one was combine it together and was able to destroy the zombies that way. So that's when Ray gets his good old ghost gun, which will come into play too. So then they see that they're in major trouble because the town is under a ghost infestation again. Well, Britt makes her appearance in this one, and she's trying to be all lovey-dovey with them and saying, hey, I'm on your side. I want to get this taken care of. Everything's going wrong in all the other universes, and of course they're very infatuated, like, oh, you're from other universe. But
scientist, huh?
Yeah, Winston is not like her. He's the one that's like, I don't trust you. But all the other guys are like, oh, yeah, cool, you know. And so she's like, this is what you need to do. You need to get this started. So they run out to take care of Mr. Stay Puft. Well, guess what? Britt's not a nice woman, and she sabotages their place. I know. Can you believe that?
You can
So she sabotages the place while they're gone, and they're having to take on Mr. Stay Puft. And there is some great art in here. I don't know if you guys can see this, but Mr. Stay Puft is being attacked by a lot of zombies. So
awesome.
And so Ray gets out his ghost gun, and he captures one zombie/ghost, and then all of a sudden, all the other zombies are gone. And then you see this horrible, horrible mutant of Stay Puft again. Like I said, you gotta get this just for the artwork.
Kyle Hotz is doing the artwork for this miniseries. I remember that, and he's great. I love Kyle Hotz.
So you can see a little bit of Mr. Stay Puft turning
truly grotesque.
Oh God.
It's just, that's what I like about it. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. This would be great desktop, you know. So then you kind of, the Ghostbusters are trying to combat Mr. Stay Puft, but they find out that he splits from his ghost side and his zombie side. So you got two Stay Puffs fighting each other. How cool is that?
Damn. Should have read this.
I think they just wrote Ghostbusters 3. Now they just need to fix it.
Ghostbusters 3 I would so watch it because, well, apparently, oh my gosh, Britt is there. Oh, I just lost it. To pick up the essence of bad guy from the first movie. Why can't I think? Gozer. That's what she's there to pick up, is the soul and essence of Gozer. Well, basically, you have this epic battle of them, the Ghostbusters, trying to get both Stay Puft Ghost and Stay Puft Zombie to cooperate. Well, that's not working. And basically, you see everything just go kaboom, and that's the end of it, basically. Again, this is like the G.I. Joe one, there's no ending. So I'm hoping there's no conclusion. All you see is Mr. Stay Puft and the zombie Stay Puft pretty much disintegrate, and see Britt in the background holding the containment units with Gozer. And again, it doesn't have a conclusion, but I'm really hoping that next month will.
It's gotta be for two, both out of the last month. I didn't.
If you like movies, you'd like this, and the artwork is just amazing. Like I said, it's a little grotesque, but it is fun. You made two Stay Puffs fighting each other. So yeah,
wow. Yeah, that's all you need. That's the sale for it there.
Yeah, it's both two really good comics I got to read this week, and like I said, I can't wait. I wish this would continue on, but darn it, it's not.
Well, maybe they'll put Kyle Hotz on one of their other Ghostbuster comics.
Yeah. So,
awesome.
Like I said,
I know that. Did I hear that James Eatock of the Serial Geek magazine, which is an 80s cartoon nostalgia magazine from here in the UK. I think I heard he's going to do something Ghostbusters for IDW, so that could potentially be like their first good comic after this. So they could put Kyle Hotz on there with him. That'd be pretty awesome altogether, I think.
Now, there's not a Ghostbusters ongoing, right? I mean, this is just
Okay. Pretty fucking terrible, maybe.
Oh.
I read one and never again, frankly. The original, like the Legion miniseries from 88 Miles Per Hour Studios from God, how long ago was that? 5-6 years ago now at this point. That was great. So I gave IDW's first miniseries a go just because of residual goodwill towards the idea of Ghostbusters comic. Satted.
Yeah. Like I said, I've never read any of the other comics, but this Infestation has sold me pretty much to read it if it's anything is good. So.
Okay. I guess that's me then.
What's your score?
So, we're 30 to 25, as I can see it right now, with 4:28 left in the first half. So, Kentucky's winning. Very good. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, good stuff. So, yelling is to a minimum in the other room, so that means we're winning.
I noticed that.
Yeah. There were a few yells initially, so I think we're okay. Anyway, other important things like comic books. So, start off with Gen Lost 22. This is leading up. There's only 2 issues after this for the conclusion of the Gen Lost series. There was an interesting interview with Winnick in, I think it was Newsarama this week, talking about the end of this run. And they're very hush-hush about what they're going to do with Gen Lost after this series, whether or not they're going to try to continue on or do something else. I don't know. I'm kind of hoping that they keep it going, but I think it'll depend on how it ends. He did pretty much come out and say that Max is not going to die at the end of this run. And that basically part of the point of this touched on something we talked about a couple weeks ago, is that part of the point of this was that Max has been sort of a villain for a while, but they had altered parts of his origin and changed him so much that none of that really connected. And part of the point of this was to say, this is who Maxwell Lord is, and to try to solidify some of his context and everything, and make him a villain that they'll use in the future. So that kind of answers some of the questions that we had is why is this different or how did this change? Well, the point of this was to sort of solidify him as a villain. But anyway, on a review, which I won't talk too much about this because this is pretty much just a bridge to the last 2 issues. Important bullet points. Blue Beetle's not dead. I may have mentioned that before, but yeah.
He's still not dead?
He's not dead. I mean, he's actually not dead. He is alive. There's like 2 pages. This issue is actually lighter in some parts, which makes me think it's going to get a bit darker coming up, just because there's like the whole first couple of pages is everyone laughing and excited that Blue Beetle's alive. There's a lot of refrain, so there's a lot of panels, and this has been throughout the series, but a lot of repeated panels where it's basically the same art, but maybe one element changes. But there's like a point where he like yells at everybody to shut up and put him down so he can talk to his armor. But anyway, basically Max has a new device or a device that he found. We don't figure out what that is till later. But Blue Beetle, of course, knows what's Max's plan is. And the big reveal for this is that's right, Batman and Power Girl, yes. So now they are back with the JLI, and it's Bruce.
Yay, hooray.
Very important to point out. Yeah, because Bruce, after his interaction with the White Lantern, now remembers Wonder Woman, and he also remembers Max, which is more important. But Power Girl doesn't remember Wonder Woman. Whatever.
Nobody remembers Wonder Woman because we don't care.
Yeah, except for the JLI, which
That's harsh.
Yeah, well.
No, read her book. It's awful right now. No one wants to remember. We're waiting for that book to end.
Yeah, I think they're trying to bring her back. But anyway,
I know, I'm not reading it.
Yeah. They find out that they know that Max is building something, an android or something of some kind, but they aren't sure what. And they also find out that there's a bunch of murders of women described as Amazons in New York, which is where Wonder Woman is based out of right now. And so they decide to go to New York to find her. And when they track her down, of course, it's the current Wonder Woman in her new costume and everything. And they try to get her to come with them, and she resists. And about that time, Max activates a ton of Omax, and the last panel is the Omax descending on Wonder Woman and the JLI.
Oh no!
You think she's gonna break all their necks?
Maybe it could happen. So anyway, like I said, it's more of a lead up into the last two issues, so it should be really exciting. I really loved Jen Lost. I really hope that they continue on, but we'll see what happens. So
how many more issues is there?
Deuce. You got the.
Oh wow.
You got Deuce.
Oh wow.
2 left. So 2 left of Brightest Day, 2 left of Jen Lost. So we're at the end of Brightest Day. So
wow.
We'll be going on to.
It looks like McFeely's crying over it.
I know, he's really sad. we're gonna go on to.
It was not the end. It was all so soon.
We'll go on to Semi-Luminous Afternoon, and then that'll be the next thing after Brightest Day. No? Okay. Anyway.
That doesn't even deserve the sound.
That got nothing. Nothing for that. So, more importantly, parts 1 and 2 of War of the Green Lanterns, which is most likely to be the snoozer of the summer. Anyway, I'm doing these both back to back. This is from Green Lantern and from Green Lantern Corps, because not a lot happened in either, but they kind of go together. So, and I'm going to go quickly through most of the Green Lantern issues. Of course, there's a group of Green Lanterns that have been sent to capture Hal, and Hal's with the Book of the Black, with the other leaders of the other colors of the rainbow, Skittles, whatever you want to call those people. And
he's got a skittle on his hand.
Yeah. But then, of course, Lyssa Drac, who's been hanging out in the Book of the Black and is now more of a Black Lantern Corps than a Yellow Sinestro Corps, shows up and starts trying to pull everybody into the book, which she sort of does, kind of, but not really. And then back on Oa, Krona shows up and does something very, very interesting. He takes all of the entities and puts one of them in each of a Guardian, except for Parallax, who he puts back in the central battery. Which,
oh no!
Yes, which reimplants the yellow impurity into the Green Lantern Corps, but that has the effect of sort of mind controlling the rest of the Corps, except for those who have overcome the yellow impurity, namely Hal in this issue. And the others start to...
When they did that, I was thinking like Sinestro is going to be like, yes! And then he'd like start killing all the But no, that's what happened.
Yeah, but all the other leaders of the Corps have all like been absorbed into the book, and so now it's just Hal, and he grabs their rings and he freaking books it, and he calls out the other lanterns, and there's nobody there. And
fast times.
Yeah. So now Krona managed to turn, and so he makes a comment about having turned the Manhunters on the Guardians, and now he's turning the Lanterns on them as well. But you have this wonderful full page of the infested versions of Guardians with the different entities, which is kind of cool. Because they're like little guy versions.
I think Jones has been working for a while to giving those. I think Jones has been looking for a while to giving these little bastards their comeuppance, so it'll be interesting to see what happens here.
You didn't mention that he murdered one of them. He was like talking about, you something, and then it was like, who? And he didn't know his name or something. Like they'd forgotten their names.
Yeah, they'd forgotten their names, and he
like murders just one of them, just like kills him.
Yeah, well, because he had an extra, because he knew he was going to put Parallax into the deal. So, so going on into Core, which is now the part 2. We have Kyle Rayner talking about how he became a Lantern and why he's going to die. I mean, talking about why he's not that cool, and talking about why Jon Stewart is really cool and is not going to die. And, yeah. So at the end, of course, the last issue, we had this was the whole stuff that happened with Sinestro and the Anti-Monitor, or the Antimatter universe. And basically, they go to leave and they get back to Oa, and there's all the Alpha Lanterns are floating in space, including Boudica. Just when they go to figure out what's going on, that's when Parallax gets put in the central battery. And the rest of the Lanterns, other than Guy and Stewart and Ganthet, head back down, and then after a few seconds, Stewart and Kyle start fighting each other. And
wrong book. Guys in the other book.
Yeah, guys in the better book.
Guys in that book I'm not going to buy.
Guys in the other book you're not going to buy.
Yeah.
He's not going to die either. It's going to be Kyle. Anyway, Brian hates me. So Ganthet figures out, he manages to fight back the impurity for a second. He realizes they've got to get their rings off. So he sends out this barrage of very miniature Guardians that start to yank off their rings. And as he gets their rings off, he gets both of their rings in one hand, and then the other hand with his ring freaking explodes, people. Ganthet's hand explodes. It's kind of awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty. That was the high point, I think, of the book. Is I was like, "What the hell just happened?"
Yeah, totally unexpected. I was like, "Oh my God, Ganthet's hand just exploded. That just happened."
It's like, what good is a Green Lantern who can't wield a ring? When he has no hand to wield it.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
So what happened to the ring? Does it say?
No, the ring exploded as well.
Oh, okay.
He overused.
Okay.
He overloaded the ring.
It was his willpower, wasn't it?
Yeah, his willpower overloaded the ring. So,
okay.
Ganthet smacks around Kyle and Stewart and basically tells them to go the hell away because he knows that the other Lanterns are going to come for him.
Yeah, they can sense him because he still has the energy in his body since he's a Guardian.
Right, he still has
so
Guardian power.
They can find him. They won't be able to find John and Kyle because they no longer have their rings.
So that's it. That's all that happened. So I mean, it's introductory, but it was kind of fun.
It sounded like it ended on a great note.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely leading into whatever is going to happen in Emerald Warriors.
As you kept saying that Kyle's going to die, I think you're wrong. I think Ganthet's going to die.
Ganthet may die too, but the deal is that the way that they're advertising it is that it's either going to be that one of the human Lanterns is going to die. It's either going to be Guy, Kyle,
John.
You
just said there will only be 3. There's no mention of death. He might just not have a ring.
Maybe he just retired.
Yes, I think Kyle needs to die. I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say that Kyle needs to die. You know what?
Look, it could be somebody else at this point. Kill off Guy Gardner. He's not in this book. Kill him off.
They've tried to kill a guy off and stuff before, and it just didn't work. They depowered him for a while. They made him into a warrior. Yeah, you know what I mean? And then they had to bring him back as Green Lantern. They kill Kyle off. When they bring him back, he might be an interesting character when he comes back.
Oh
no. No, but really,
just kick yourself off the podcast because I can't.
No, I think.
Look at you.
I think it's a writing issue. I think the problem is when they introduced Kyle, he was supposed to replace Hal, and then they realized that was a terrible idea, and Hal's awesome, and people like Hal. So now they don't know what to do with Kyle.
What they did is they got interest in Green Lantern, so there's a movie coming out now. That wouldn't be happening if it wasn't Kyle.
Well. Yeah. Well, anyway.
This you couldn't have told with Kyle.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
So far, the Green Lanterns is in this podcast.
Right. This is Green Lanterns because we're debating which Green Lantern sucks the most. And which one sucks least. So Jon Stewart's great. He should not die. That's just my vote. Anyway, So that's it for those. War of the Green Lanterns has started, and then other stuff. So a lot of me moving on to other stuff, but good stuff nonetheless. So anyway, McFeely, save me. What do you got, sir?
I'm not going with anything too bombastic this week at all. I'm going to take another look at Power Man and Iron Fist first of all this week. Now, did you stick with this one, JD? Did you not go back to it after the first issue?
No, I fell asleep after the first issue and decided I didn't.
Okay.
Did you give it a good nap, though?
Yeah, it was good. It was very refreshing.
Oh, that's good.
Well, this is the third issue. I've skipped over the second. And we're continuing on the plot of how Iron Fist is attempting to prove the innocence of his former secretary in the murder of the dickish crime buster by tracking the... What? Sorry. By investigating an underground auction where the mask, where one of Crime Buster's trophies is being auctioned off. And they want to get the information of the person who is auctioning off the mask, so they can try and track down who really killed Crime Buster. And well, I'll tell you, there's one major reason I'm talking about this issue, and it is for the auction master of this issue, who was introduced on the last page of the previous issue, who is let's see, let me just get the information up here. He was, where is he? Where is the thing? I've lost it now. He's a hot-tempered Vietnamese man who murdered his wife and her lover when he found out about the affair and had to flee the country. On the ship to America, he convinced himself that his fellow illegal immigrants had robbed him of what little money he had in a crooked game of cards, and his hair-trigger temper led him to sought revenge by rigging the ship's boiler to explode. Unfortunately, the explosion drove the furnace poker through his brain, and for the second villain this month, who has had part of his brain knocked out and caused him to lose the ability to process emotions, that's exactly what happened to him. Yeah. I sent a tweet to Fred Van Lent and Dan Slott questioning about the coincidental nature of that. Fred Van Lent replied to say that he created this character in 2003 and is only feeling him out now. But using his complete emotionless, he became the greatest gambler in the world, able to maintain, the perfect poise and to just be a complete gambling master. And what's his name?
Is it Massacre?
The gambler?
He is a perfect gambler. He had a furnace. I should probably stipulate that
Maverick? Is he a Maverick?
I should probably stipulate that they weren't able to remove the furnace poker from his head. Ladies and gentlemen, meet Poker Face.
Poker Face. No.
The chest.
Oh my God! It's the 50s all over again.
Isn't it though? That is what it's
over that name.
God. It's like Poker Face and Chairhead and
Chairface Chippendale.
Chairface Chippendale.
My name into the moon. But no, he is completely without emotion, so it allows him to be a master gambler and auctioneer because you can never tell. He will do anything, and he's taken his hindrance and he's used it to better his life, whereas Massacre can't even conceive of that emotion. But the main body of this issue is in which they're at his auction site, which is an underwater base, because all the best criminals have those in international waters, so you can host an illegal shadow auction like this. And Iron Fist and Power Man are both snooping around, trying to, they're just snooping around doing what you do. And Poker Face confronts Iron Fist, while Power Man is confronted with a load of Poker Face's brainwashed servants, who are, what did he call them again? Hang on a minute, I just got to remember what the name of the things are.
Please tell me it's playing cards.
His wild cards. Yes! Yes! Nice done. Nicely done.
Damn, I should have read this.
Yes, well, he's basically says, I have the information you want here on a piece of paper, and I will happily give it to you if you can predict how many of my wild cards Power Man will be able to defeat.
Wow.
And so Iron Fist says, 30! It can be 30 of them! And it's like, betting's closed. And so the fighting continues with Iron Fist shouting things, like any good gambler, keep your left up into the television screen. Fireman can't hear him at all. And of course, you get the traditional moment wherever he's on 29, he's knocked down, and it doesn't look like he's going to get it back up. And then he gets a big swell of strength, beats him up, keeps pounding, and he takes down 38 of them. And it's like Iron Fist's like, yes, I told you could do it, I win. No,
you said that.
30. 38 isn't 30.
That's awesome.
He's a dastardly villain.
And I'll save the last page twist for anybody that wants to read, because it's a nifty one. You've got Iron Fist's girlfriend is in the auction room with the mask that they're looking for. The mask. This all ties together as like you remember in the first issue we were introduced to to Pagliacci and his theater of the theater of crime? Is that what they were called? I can't remember now. Yeah, so European crime syndicates who are here looking for Pagliacci's lover who has been murdered by the crime buster, sorry. And it's her mask that they're looking for at the auction. So it all ties together, so that's how Pagliacci will factor into this later. And we also have the mystery of Noir, who is the shadow vigilante that beat up Pyroman whenever he came to Crime Buster's apartment in the first issue, and who is, without any kind of attempt at subterfuge, is a girl who goes to this school, who's tagged along with them for exactly the same reasons they're there. But she's just really interesting because where Noir wears a fedora and a coat and everything, in her civilian identity, this girl is just obsessed with the roaring 20s. And she speaks in 1920s slang, Now you're really on the trolley. Very hotsy-totsy. Just like that.
She's like slow-mo.
Yes, exactly. She is a real fast-talking movie dame. So it's a lot of fun, but it's not all successful. It's not there for the comedy. Poker Face was kind of the reason I wanted to talk about it. But that's much like Massacre from a week or two ago. It's a really great silver agey 1950s villain origin with a really sinister modern day twist. That is the sort of thing that Dan Slott and Fred Van Lent and Jeff Parker and guys like that do really well. It's not shooting to be high art or, a comic book people will forever be talking about down through the ages. It's just a really good, fun read that's constantly shifting gears between action and comedy and drama, tiny pinch of romance in there that never feels jarring as it does so. It's just an entertaining read. And the dude's name is Poker Face.
He needs to get his own comic book.
Wow.
Poker Face, awesome.
Yeah, that is. So that's why I want to talk about that one. And then otherwise, I'm actually completely stripped out of new stuff this week. So carrying on my attempt to talk about a new comic on each show, we're going to talk about Transformers: Hearts of Darkness, the new miniseries that came out this week.
I got
that good cover.
Man, I missed out on that. My comic shop didn't get it.
Well, it's
sucks.
Yeah. You need to get an order in for these things.
Yeah.
This is also written by Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning, who gave us Thor this week, and who wrote the Transformers Infestation miniseries and the Infestation bookends themselves. And it picks up. This actually takes place before Infestation, charting what happened to Galvatron before he came to Earth with all of that zombie nonsense. It follows on from the very brief story we got of Galvatron returning in All Hail Megatron, and essentially just picks up on the lingering plot threads that were left over from Simon Furman's Infiltration, Escalation, Devastation, Revelation story arc, in which Galvatron, reanimated from his apparent death at the end of Revelation by the darkness, returns to the planet of Gorlam Prime, where Jyaxis was carrying out his biogenetic mechanical evolution experiments, and finds it completely deserted. And the first half of the issue is a lot of navel gazing as Galvatron recaps his history for people who weren't reading Transformers comics 3 years ago now at this point, that this was all relevant.
Yeah.
But still impresses me because it deliberately takes some time to patch over Andy Schmidt's continuity holes. Like Schmidt forgot, by his own admission, which of the three out of Galvatron, Cyclonus, and Scourge was the Transformer who was supposed to be able to survive for extended periods outside of the Dead Universe. It was Cyclonus, but whenever Schmidt wrote the All Hail Megatron story, he just forgot and instead made it Galvatron. So we get a little patch for that. Schmidt is possessed of the bizarre quirk of constantly referring to the darkness as the heart of darkness. And we get an explanation for the change in name here. And basically it's revealed that Galvatron was able to survive being thrown in the energy pool by Optimus Prime at the end of Revelation because the darkness merged with him completely, and it became what he calls a heart of darkness. And that gave him the power to exist outside of the Dead Universe. So a nice quick continuity patch, and for me, for somebody like me, that is always much appreciated. And they explore the planet, and they find Jaxus beneath the planet. Thereby, Jaxus was left beneath Gorlin Prime at the end of Revelation again, where RC, who had deep-seated, disturbed desires of revenge for the things he had done to her.
Do you blame her?
No. But she in that weird little world that was not quite the Dead Universe and not quite reality, she could kill him over and over and over again, and he would never die. But they find out that everybody on Gorlin Prime disappeared in a flash, and basically it sets up a good, solid mystery again. I can't remember the last time I read a Transformers comic from IDW's G1 universe that just set up a genuine mystery that had to actually be solved instead of some dull one-on-one conflict. About half the issue is navel gazing, summing up continuity patching, so it's not hugely heavy on plot. But for somebody, certainly, who was following the Asian series and would have at this point believed that we'd never see it again, I definitely rate it as pretty entertaining. Their portrayal of Galvatron does not seem quite on the money to me, I do have to say, though. He's not
crazy as hell.
No,
he's
like
almost. Yes, into the point of benevolence. It's strange. It's certainly not beyond that. I could definitely believe his experiences had changed him, but he was far more in infestation.
And no matter what continuity, if he's not crazy as hell and fighting off a planet that's trying to eat his brain, he ain't Galvatron. I'm just saying that.
Well,
the way that they portrayed him in this is, it's almost like if you had no clue who Galvatron was, you'd kind of think he was like one of the good guys. Almost. The way that he's been talking and stuff. So,
there's a slightly sinister undercurrent there.
Well, but overall, you would think...
Barricade is correcting me in the chat there that it was actually Galvatron who could survive outside of the Dead Universe, and Schmidt who thought it was Cyclonus. I beg your pardon, I got that backwards.
I just really like the artwork on Cyclonus' little soul patch there.
Yes, so that does bring us perhaps to the bigger talking point of this issue.
Yeah.
Which is this art.
There's some pages that are really good, and then there's some you're like,
There's an awful lot where you're,
Like the first panel with Cybertron, that looks really cool.
But then you get to the third panel and you're looking at this.
Whoa.
What am I looking at there?
That is a very happy Transformer.
I don't know quite why I want to describe this as European, but that is the word that comes to mind to describe this style. It's very indie comic book sort of style. It's a little bit Seth Fisher-y, little bit.
Now, wait, wasn't this the same team that did Infestation?
No, that was Nick Roach.
Okay, that's where I was getting confused.
Writers are the same.
The writers are the same. Okay.
So this guy's name is Ulysses Farinas. So that's an awesome name. But it's not that he's not talented.
No, he's got some good panels in here.
Yeah, definitely. But it's just that he doesn't really seem to be able to draw Transformers.
His Giactus is pretty good.
But his Giactus is in bits.
Yeah, that's true.
And he's got these little weird boogers sticking out of his nose.
Lovely.
Oh my gosh, I didn't notice that.
I mean, generally, the layouts are solid, and whenever he's not drawing Transformers in their robot modes, I mean, this shot of Galvatron exploding is pretty nice, stuff like that.
Oh, that's
then for every shot we get of that, we get this.
Whoa! What? Wow.
But I mean, again, that's not even that's a bad Galvatron panel. It's like this is supposed to be Galvatron reacting to a rock slide, and like that rock there is about all the indication you get that a rock slide is actually occurring, because Cyclonus has leant up against a wall and caused it to collapse. But instead of a giant, it's the absolute nadir of the book. I'm not going to. That sounds like this is the worst it gets, but it's like you don't even get the real sense that there's a rock slide happening. Artistically, it's a guy who is not in his element. On the Allspark, Walkie compared it to Manny Gallen of the Generation 2 comics, which was a guy who but was being forced to work and to just draw things in a way that he couldn't very well. That is definitely the feel I get off this. I am all for new and different styles on Transformers comics, because I often think that since Dreamwave came along, really, and the new generation of Transformers comics buyers, Transformers comics readers tend to operate within a very narrow field of focus for what artistic styles they will accept in their comics. And that annoys me to no end. You'll get people who won't enjoy a Nick Roach comic because they think his art is too cartoony, I'm always in favor of more different and unusual styles being employed on it, just for the sake of some visual variance. I mean, it's not like IDW is enforcing a house style in their artists the way Dreamwave did, and producing some really homogenous stuff the way they did. But, still, when it comes down to it, the majority of Transformers comics are still dominated by a really clean-cut mechanical line work, because that seems to be about the only thing that you can universally expect some degree of decent response to. I'm all for something that goes a little bit more peculiar and organic, like in theory this should, or a far more loose and sketchy style like Carlos Barber implies, or just somebody who's a solid all-rounder, who's perhaps not especially dedicated to drawing robots but can draw them. Because all too often you find the guys who draw the best robots are the guys who draw the worst humans and the worst backgrounds, and they're the Transformers comics, but you got to have the whole package out of them. So that's a big digression. But to get back to my point was that sometimes it don't work, and this is one of those times. This is just one of those times.
The second and third page look pretty. I'll admit that. The second and third page look pretty.
They do look pretty, but again, layout. There is nothing there.
That's true.
If you wanted to show me an abandoned city or something deserted, that is not really the way to go about it. Filling up more than 1/3 of the page with just this, my hands worth of just negative space. It doesn't make me think that this is going to really sound weird, but it doesn't make me think the city is empty. It makes me think the page is empty. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So, art critiquing aside, I am in support of where the book is going. Abnett and Lanning continue to impress through their desire to explore the pre-All Hail Megatron universe.
Dull surprise.
Very much so. That is dull surprise if I ever saw it. To just explore that part of the story, the universe that had seemed long discarded. Especially for guys who have literally just come into the Transformers comics to come out of the gate with this stuff. The way they did an Infestation and really surprised everybody with Jax just popping up and following up Nick Roach's Cup stuff. Yeah, I'm interested to see where it goes, and there's a couple of characters pop up on the last page I'm not going to blue right here that'll make anybody who was reading before All Hail Megatron smile. So, all signs point to yes, as far as the story goes, but the art is, this is one time when I wouldn't criticize anybody for being opposed to a different style.
So, should I look for it? Should I try to find a copy?
I would say yes. Yes, I would say.
Again, the story was good, the art,
Okay.
Cool. Like McFeely says, it clears up a lot of loose ends, so that's always a good thing.
He's a great artist, he just doesn't seem very suited to this. But the story is definitely, offish portrayal of Galvatron notwithstanding, the spirit of the story and what it seems to be setting out to do definitely have my attention.
Yeah, this is definitely when you'll have to pick up the second issue to actually know where they're headed with, I think so.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that leaves us with the future. That leaves us with issue 1 of FF, which apparently could stand for two things. Everybody
hold it up!
There we go.
Jetty, hold it up!
Yep,
Hold it up, Jetty!
Right.
Jetty!
Yes, we got it. All right. Yes. It's okay. Yes. For those in the listening audience, we're holding up our covers. And I think for the first time we all have this. Is this true? Is this a first for
this? I think this is the first
for the current era. I guess we may have all had a Secret Fish issue at one point. Anyway, okay. So this is the Future Foundation or the First Family, whatever you want FF to mean. Fantastic Four-ish. So McFeely, I'm going to let you talk about this because this is kind of your baby.
This is his baby.
This is the first time I've ever read anything Fantastic Four related. So.
Well, you're not alone there.
Yeah. And it's not even Fantastic Four, so.
Well, you know.
Well, this will be a pretty short summary because this is really the first issue of something in name only. This is just the next phase of Jonathan Hickman's ongoing Fantastic Four run. And it tries its hardest to be as new reader friendly as possible. Basically, Spider-Man is our point of view character, he's joining the team in place of the Human Torch with pleasantly little fanfare. You know, I can imagine a lot of other books that would dedicate a whole issue over to them asking him, you know, and that would be the final point of the issue. But no, he's joining up at the very start here. And the Invisible Woman just gives him a rundown on everything that's been going on. New costume, and my stapler's looking very loose there. Try not to destroy that.
I like how they explained why they chose him. It was Johnny's last wish. You know, if they said he said go on with this, you know, continue to change the world, and you know, if you're going to pick somebody, pick Spider-Man. He's the second best superhero, I think, is what he said. Yeah.
Yep.
But he is still very much. It's there in the costume design. He is not just a replacement for John. I mean, we've talked about this before, but while like Spider-Man, you kind of have to overlook the character's excessive use in the rest of the Marvel universe to really buy this idea, if you know what I mean, because he's got a pretty packed schedule. But this above all the others, this is the one where it still comes off as making the most sense. And it's something that's been very well coordinated with what's going on in Spidey's own book, because the idea of Spider-Man as a scientist is at the fore in his own book as well. And while it doesn't factor in too heavily into what goes on in this issue, he's here to be part of Reed Richards' Future Foundation think tank as much as he is to be another superhero on the team. And you look at their costumes, their new black and white costumes, Reed, Ben, and Sue have the 3 hexagons on their chests, but Spidey has a Spider-Man style costume. He is still not part of. He's not family, if you know what I mean. It is the Fantastic 3 plus 1. In a subtle way, not in a way that affects the story, but just in a subtle, respectful sort of way to the legacy of the team, And we get our steady introduction to it, intercut with an action scene in which AIM, Advanced Idea Mechanics, busts the Wizard out of prison. Now, the Wizard was put in jail in the very first issue of Hickman's run, so he's had all this stuff in the works for a while now. I've been leafing back through some of the older Hickmans, the Wizard has... Well, we know the Wizard, with Progressive Thinking, he's lost his mind. He believes he's on a mission from God. And I'm growing more and more convinced that the Wizard, somehow, somewhere, the Wizard has made contact with something, and he knows what is coming. Because there is something coming. Something in the future that's caused Nathaniel Richards to travel back in time, and as we saw on the final page of the Death issue, not the Death issue, rather, the final issue, to come back and join up with Reed because he needs to guide them toward or guide them through whatever it is that's going to happen. But I just love the way this starts. The metatextual echoes of this first page, as a stuttering scientist from Advanced Idea Mechanics asks the head scientist if they're doing the right thing by breaking away from the others, and he replies, "That stench you smell is stagnation. Our brothers at AIM have lost their nerve, and for too long we had lost our way. Do not fear a fundamental reordering of things. All death leads to rebirth. We must begin again. We have to find some new ideas."
Yeah, I like that.
The double meanings are just coming in thick and fast here. Then they proceed to go and break the Wizard out, which is where the main action, to make sure that, this is an issue that could quite happily have trundled past without any kind of action scene at all, for my money. And I think for most people who've been reading Hickman's Fantastic Four, but it's the first issue, you got to try and serve up a little bit of everything for everybody, so we get a little of that. And the Wizard drops off his sinister message that you have something of mine, Richards, and I'll be coming for it soon. And of course, he is surely referring to the young clone that is part of the Future Foundation. This is, it is, as I say, the whole comic tries to be as new reader friendly as possible by just reintroducing and just restating all of the things that are already in motion. And I think it works for the most part, but I would really have to hope it's simply that everybody will go back and pick up the trades after they read this.
Yes, please.
Yeah, definitely.
They're very good.
Yeah.
It's strongly recommended. The major shake-up to things, apart from the addition of Spider-Man, is it just really lets you know that things aren't the way they used to be here. Is the presence of Nathaniel as well, who everybody's sitting at the dinner table and Rita's talking about what they have to do about the various threats that are still in evidence. Nathaniel just goes, "I think that's a terrible idea," and every head at the table turns to look at him. It was awesome. Well, we don't do consenting opinions around here. We just normally says something and everyone automatically agrees. That's ridiculous. Yeah. And then you just, "I'm glad you're home, Dad."
Yeah, I'm glad you're home.
It's just, that's, it was one of the two things that I really picked out of this issue, as far as like highlight points for me, which was, one, that moment, because I think there has been a lot of this, Reed's the leader, Reed's the smart guy, we do what Reed says. And I think that's sort of what's been interesting about Valeria, is because Valeria does her own thing. She doesn't always think that Reed is right. And I think that and that's what Reed wants. Reed wants people around him that's going to argue with him, that's going to debate with him. That's why they had...
He wants a challenge.
That's why the other Reed went out and found each other from other dimensions to put each other together so that they would have a think tank of each other that would debate and be able to figure this stuff out.
Do things.
Yes. So, I think that was a big point for me. There was one line that I really liked that was earlier that we sort of missed, which was when Sue is showing Spider-Man his new costume, and he mentioned something about missing the old 4 and stuff, and she makes the comment that, he says something about it being black and white, and she said, it certainly feels like a black and white world right now, doesn't it? It's like, ooh, overtones for things.
Do you guys like the new symbol?
Oh, I'm definitely.
Yeah, it's interesting. Especially because it's not set. I mean, it rotates, it changes, it alters.
Each one has
and it's not the same symbol for everybody. It's like everybody's got a different color.
Mm-hmm.
It just confirms the fact that, yes, these are these 3 characters, and these other people are not, not in an intrusive way, not in a get out Spidey kind of way, we don't accept you kind of way, but in a subtler kind of way, because I don't think Spidey is not so self-centered that he would even think that that's what he represents on this team, But I think the most interesting thing is like how, Sue says this really feels like a black and white world, but as this issue progresses, it becomes immediately apparent that it really is anything but right now. As much as the idea of the heroic age tries to paint it that way, and it is for a lot of the other Marvel books at the minute. I mean, I just love the scene here where Reed is just like, choose Valeria out, and it's like, I know you're very gifted, and I sympathize, but if you think I won't completely cut you off from all of this immediately, you're fooling yourself.
Yeah. But that's what's great, and that's what Reed needs. He needs other people around him who are going to stand up to him and say, you know what, you're not always right. But one of the great things about this is what a challenge this provides for Reed as well, because the only defense that she actually has is Nathaniel going, no, I know it. I know she has to do that. Mm-hmm.
So I can't tell you, but I know. I'm from the future.
Yeah.
I'm from the future, man. I know.
Even Valeria is like, look, this is what I'm supposed to do. Why?
So Reed is definitely, because it's something he can't, he can't mathematically or scientifically disprove what she's saying, and his dad is there going, shut up, son.
Yeah. Take it.
I mean, I think we'll just talk about the last page of this, because I think anybody that was reading this will not be surprised by what happens on the final page of this issue. I saw it coming from some away. In which Nathaniel and Valeria inform Reed that, hey, Dr. Doom's coming to live with us.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be like the Odd Couple.
Oh, man. It's going to be...
There is going to be something. I mean, I've seen a lot of people have a hissy about this because of the things that Doom has done to the family in the past, A lot of people keep bringing up Unthinkable, Mark Waid's Unthinkable, for the things that he did to the children in that, and why it should make Sue, immediately mutinate the idea of it. And while, I'm definitely interested to see their reaction, and they'll certainly not be as complacent about it and accepting as Reed is. But, frankly, Unthinkable, not the best story to be bringing up if you're going to talk about truthful and accurate portrayals of characters.
Well, I just want to talk about Ben's character. Because he wasn't in a whole lot. When he was on, it made a big impact. I mean, the first time you see him, it's just the cutest little panel here of him. I don't know if you can see that. Him, comforting the two children, and that kind of touched me a little deep. And to know that he still blames himself for everything. But then later on the issue, you can see he still has his fun-loving self and talking about, watching his figure.
Yep. All in all, I think it's a good intro to what we're going to see and where this is going to be.
I mean, it's not 100% perfect. No. I'll say that, but that's because it's a bit heavy on the setup. But it is the start of a new era, and to be honest, I mean, I think maybe what would really have stood well here would have been a couple extra pages, just. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they seem to blow through the AIM rescues the wizard bit pretty quickly. Just feels like, maybe to push it up to 32 pages story instead of however many it actually is.
Taking out some ads.
Yeah.
Well, no, just add more paper, because this was a $4 book. The book it's going to be $3 standardly, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, the 2 extra pages of story in here, and some handy character legends at the back, just so new readers kind of figure out who and who is what is what.
Yeah.
You know, one thing we skipped over that I really liked was the meal, where they were all based on...
Yeah, which is kind of...
There's so many different just little ideas and moments in here that they're all kind of fighting for space, and things don't move forward in any great degree. But, yeah, I mean, it's like the fact that a bunch of scientists are sitting around the table and praying, there's something
that was so
ironically amusing about that.
They try to get everyone's deities.
Or non-deities.
Or others. God, or other similar Judeo-Christian messianic figure, or the ancient ones for Atlantis, or some weird evolutionary something or other, or some random confluence of events that resulted in the perfect conditions for life to flourish on this once barren, desolate hunk of rock. And then, like, the wizard's little clone interrupts, and they or Mephisto, or the devil. I love that little guy, because it's like, lest we forget, the reason that the wizard's little clone is on the team is because Reed believes that he can raise him to be better than what he is, you know? He believes that he wants to prove that he can fix the wizard by raising this child right. I always get the sense that this little kid is a dick just because he thinks he should be. I mean, you know, it's not like he's a scientist. He's the clone of a scientist. It's not like he believes in the wonderful irony is that the guy who's been cloned from is now screaming about God. And believing that he's on a divine mission. Whereas this guy is like, oh, I'm evil, Satan, throw that in there. You know, so he only says it because he thinks he should, rather than because he actually believes it. He's a nice little guy. I like him, and I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes with the wizard. I mean, I don't know if we can expect that right away. I mean, I think we've got maybe the War of Four Cities kicks in with issue 4, and I would imagine the next couple of issues, the next 2 issues, are probably just going to be dealing with Doom being on the team, as it were. Lest we forget that this is the brain-damaged Doom who no longer has his intelligence after the events of World War Hulk.
Yeah.
So I heard somebody question, is Doom without his intelligence truly Doom? Can he bring the conflict we expect into this comic without his intelligence? And it's like, I just think to myself, well, surely that's at the heart of what's going to happen here. Doom knows that he's not who he was anymore, and his entire outlook is different. He willfully stepped down from his throne to be here and to do this. I just really want to see what happens next. And you know, what do I always say when it comes to I just really want to see where it goes. And admittedly, one can only say that so many times before one gets the sense that it's not going anywhere.
Right.
But this is, it's like with S.H.I.E.L.D. Same writer, and as much as I've said I've enjoyed S.H.I.E.L.D., I've also said, how long do you give something before you throw up your hands and go, this really doesn't seem to be doing anything. But with this, there's always a sense of progression. As I say, not so much in this one because it's very much set up. There's not a lot of forward motion. It's not too heavy on the plot. It's just throwing ideas at you and reaffirming a lot of what we already know. But it's all good.
Oh yeah, I like this.
And you should read it.
Yeah, the one little thing that they had at the end there that
for a person like myself who knows about the Fantastic Four but never got into it, it's kind of a good little setup to what to expect. So that's a good little thing. Doom.
I know, I can't wait.
All I can think about is that the Reeds, the Reeds that had like the Dooms, the whole like collection of Dooms across the multiverse that they had brainwiped, and all they did is stood there and said, Doom. Doom. Oh. Anyway, good stuff. Reread that stuff. Jonathan Hickman run. Yes.
Strongly recommended stuff. You can jump on this. I think, cool. You would say that you were able to come on and follow this okay?
Oh, yeah. For sure. Well, I mean, it's very easily set up.
Better than a .1?
For sure. Well, the thing is, for a first issue, it's got a lot of. There's maybe not a whole lot of action going on, but it's a good setup.
Yeah. So, awesome. One thing I want to mention that I think we forgot, or I don't know that we've talked about, Spider Island. Have we talked about this?
No. In passing, very briefly, I think a couple of weeks ago when we saw it.
Because we got the teaser image for
it. The teaser in the back of this.
In this, which is the Infested. So, anyway, I guess the concept is people in Manhattan get spider powers.
That's what it looks like.
Crazy. Anyway, alright. I didn't know if we'd mention that. But anyway, so there you go. Awesome stuff. Check out FF, if you hadn't, and other good stuff.
We strongly recommend it round hereabouts.
Yes, and I got to thank my comic book guy for giving me his brother's copy of it.
Oh, well, there you go. Nice. That's the salesman right there.
New reader.
No, I put on my sad face. I'm like, I'm supposed to be reviewing this weekend. And he's like, here, I'll get my brother's copy. I'm like, yes.
That's awesome.
Well, you're going to get some dirty looks next time you're in there.
I know.
So, awesome. Well, apparently I better get out of here before the game is over and there's much yelling and screaming. So, yeah.
That's a long history.
So, good stuff. Well, anyway, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Well, thanks, CNI, Comic News International, for when we post the show over there. Occasionally I post it there like I'm supposed to. I don't think I have, but I need to. So we thank them anyway, and follow us on Twitter, all kinds of places to do that. TFRadio.net, that's the website. All that great information is there. So please tune in next time when it'll be Fanboy Versus. That is. Okay, so we got that stopped recording.